All right, here we are. This is going to be video one of the start of an adventure here to do some repairs and refurbishment on this donated 1985 Hobie 16. The goal here is not to go YouTube famous, but to record the repairs, so anybody else who's jumping into some of this stuff can have examples of things that went well and probably more likely things I mess up and what not to do. So not going into it totally blind here. Looked at a lot of other social media and YouTube resources, so give a shout out real quick to Cliner Restorations, Kent Blair's Small Boat Repairs, and JOYRIDER TV with Joe, who's just got a ton of content about rigging, sailing, racing, and fixing these old Hobie hulls. So appreciate those resources, and I'll put their links in the comment section so you guys can go check them out for yourselves. So that's a little bit of the intro here, and we'll get into some of the issues now. All right, so excuse the messy workbench. Messy workbench is a happy workbench. Maybe not. I'll get around to cleaning it up at some point here. But for the scope of this project, the big things we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking these access ports, and we're going to be replacing the one on the porthole because it's damaged and I had to break through it. Instead, I wasn't able to unscrew it and get it off. So we're going to have to replace that one. And then the starboard hull here, which has been pretty watertight for the most part. It takes on a little bit, but it's pretty good. This doesn't have one of those access ports like the other hull. So we're going to cut out a hole here, and then we're going to bond one of those access ports here. One of the biggest issue got with this boat is it's a beach cat, and so it's been dragged across the sand a whole bunch, which is kind of stripped off the gel coat, and it's worn the fiberglass down, and at some point it either wore through far enough that it made a hole, or it got so narrow that it cracked. And so we were taking on a ton of water, I mean up to gallons, just by sailing it for 20 minutes. So need to fix that as a safety concern. And then also on the port hull here in the bow, see if I can make it go for you guys. Yeah, you can hear some of that crunching. So we got a soft spot probably about 2 feet here where it's delaminating, and we're going to need to drill in there and fill it in with some kind of resin so we can rebond and fill it. And then finally we're going to take a scraper to all these old stickers, and the paint's totally oxidized, so we're going to sand it down, and then I think I'm going to choose a color that my kids like and get some Total Boat wet edge or something else, and we're gonna refresh the paint on these hulls, maybe change the color up a little bit. So that kind of cages the overall scope of work for this project. A couple inserts, a little fiberglass work, and like always with boats, some sanding and painting. All right, so we're gonna prep and cut out this this hole in the starboard hull to install this access port. And not an exact science, but I measured the hole on the port side to be about 16.5 from one of the stanchions or the gudgeons that the trampoline platform sits on. So we're gonna first put down some painter's tape, so when we get to cutting, we try to minimize any extra cracking on the gel coat or any other splintering of the fiberglass. All right, so we got this taped up. We're gonna stencil out here where we're gonna cut. I'm probably gonna cut a little on the narrow side, and then take away more, so this is a nice snug fit. You don't want to cut too wide and then have a gap that you have to account for. And so I tried to find the center point. I'm going to do a little bit of Kentucky windage, because if you look at the hull from back there, there's a little bit of a camber, so it's not going to get flush, but I'm trying to find the flattest spot, and so I think it's about here. And so we're going to just take this again on the inside circumference, so we leave a little bit of room, a little bit of material to continue to cut away from, so we have a nice snug fitting when we go to insert this. So we're gonna make our first drill into this, and I picked a wide bit because I'm gonna take my jigsaw, kind of trace this out, and I want the hole to be big enough to fit the blade of the jigsaw in. Now, we got this little respirator thing because anytime you're dealing with fiberglass, cutting, grinding anything, you don't want to be breathing in those kind of fiberglass particles. And then I got my glasses on so I don't get any dust in my eyes. It's got some gaps, so maybe I'll get some of those goggles like we used to wear back in high school chemistry. But try to be safe about this. So suit up here, and we'll make our first plunge. Get this connected. All right, I'll start, I think, on the bottom. I'm gonna go just inside of this a little bit. Go a little slow to get a little divot so it doesn't jump. All right. Take this mask off real quick. Trying to, oh geez, it's like getting a bra off. All right, again, I'm trying to go inside this line, and this line is actually probably a little smaller than the circumference of the actual port, but that's so leaving myself a little material in case I mess up, and we can always cut away more. You cut too much, that's a real pain to try to get filler in there. And so we'll grab the saw next. All right, excuse the muffled sound. I already got the respirator on. I had to move the GoPro to a head mount because it was attached to this thing. I figured the vibration might make the video kind of shitty, but here we go. All right, there you have it. Okay, we just cut that hole and we'll hold it up for the port access. As you can see, there's a lot of material left. So what I'm gonna be doing here is I'm gonna take, excuse me, I'll take this little hacksaw and I'm just gonna start working it. I'm not gonna film all of it, but I'll show you the final project once I got the hole kind of cut to the right size. But while we're here, I'll go ahead and show you guys kind of what the inside's looking like. See if I can jam my phone and the GoPro in here. So that's looking forward to the bow, and you can see this foam core. Take away the light, sorry. So that's loose. I think it's supposed to be glued, but we'll work on that. Let me get this foam back in here and kind of look down the back end. This will be fun. I'll check out the video and inspect it myself. When we cut off the disc, there's this like black foam right here. When I touch that, that thing is soaking wet. So I'm glad that we got in here because we're gonna need to dry this out as well. So we'll stand by here, and then I'll work on this hole, and then we'll get it all fit up. Okay, we did it. We got a nice tight, snug fit. You can see kind of the camber. So when we get to bonding it, and that'll be in a month or two because it's still super cold, but when we get ready to bond it, we'll have to get some filler for the epoxy resin mix and make sure that it's built up on these areas. The little hand hacksaw that I said I was going to use was total trash, so I just went back to the scroll saw on this little jig here. So now we got a good hole, and we'll be able to dry this out and get out some of the debris and pieces, but start drying this hull out too. And I think that concludes it here for this first video. All right, so on the back end of video number 1 here, got that hole cut out, got one of the hulls drying. Again, not a professional. I'll start trying to put a little thought ahead of time into how I structure these videos. I'll say, I think I made the comment already with the other hole. I just stuck with the jigsaw the entire time. That little hand hacksaw was trash. And then I got little fiberglass bits all over my clothes, so I might get like some kind of jumpsuit or flight suit or coveralls. Something when I'm doing this fiberglass stuff, I don't mind if it trashes the clothes and I don't have to necessarily bring it inside. So there's a couple lessons learned. Again, see if the video production starts getting a little better here as a little more deliberate about these videos, but appreciate anyone tuning in, and I hope this first one helped.